It makes it a hell of a lot easier. Whenever I release a new game, most of the sales initially in that first day come from the community, and then
Gotcha.
like I'll trickle sales with ads for the next year or whatever,
Cool.
on a game. But yeah,
Yeah.
most of them come from that initial community, and that's free.
Mm,
I don't have to spend any money on that. I
yeah.
just I
Yeah.
just say, hey, new game's out.
All right. All right. We are live with Sauce Pod episode 11. And so, yeah, yesterday was number 10. So that was really exciting. We have a special guest here today, a very, very special guest, Mr.
Special.
Mr. John Rue.
Hey.
So yeah, so we basically just you're kind of our one of our first. I think we actually had two other people, Jesse and Josh, and they were
Oh
doing
yeah, yeah.
the I Am Champion guys. And so we wanted to get on here and talk to you about community building. And I know that you have a lot of experience building communities across the board, from you being in bands, you being on Facebook, you being on Twitter. You have your own kind of company as well. And so that's kind of the gist of today's topic. So welcome to the Sauce Pod.
Thank you
Um,
for having me, dudes.
yeah,
Appreciate it,
yeah.
guys.
So yeah, this is pretty chill. We'll just, we don't really have like any questions. We're just here to just hang out and kind of talk. I just wanted to kind of create that main, kind of
Sure.
topic with the community building. But if you want, we can start off with like your story, maybe a current story, kind of what you are doing now and what you have in terms of like your company, and anything fun that you're doing, and
Sure.
anything that's like currently happened in your life that's like really exciting that you want to talk about.
Um, yeah, I had a lot of stuff that I had currently happened in my life. I know Sean Barnett has too. So we
Exactly, yeah.
both we got engaged, man.
Mm.
Uh,
Congratulations on that, and
Thank
to
you.
you. And that's really cool. It changes things. And then Sean G got married, and
Yeah, we're a
Let
bunch
me
of
ask you
old
this:
farts.
Does it feel like as soon as you got engaged, everyone's like wanting to know what exactly you're doing for your wedding? Like, I
dude, it
literally
happened instantly, like
instantly.
immediately. We wanted to have like a long engagement, and like just the day after, Becca's looking up fucking wedding shit, but so that changed real quick. But yeah, my sister came in and was like, "You have to get the venue now," and then Sean's wife was like, "Here's some good places, some good things to do," and it just happened so fast. We're all like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm
I'm
like,
already
I'm
supposed
like,
to have it planned, and I'm like,
I
wait,
just spent all this money on this freaking engagement in the ring and stuff, and I'm like, slow it down.
yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
that's big news. So that's really
Yeah,
cool, and I think all of us can agree that we had those big moments in our life recently, all three of us. So
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
absolutely.
that's been really cool. We're grown ups now.
Yeah, right.
Oh
So,
man, getting
but
up there,
yeah,
man.
about my story, like I run a retro gaming business that develops and publishes retro retro style games for old consoles that I grew up with and loved. And I mean, that was really the idea. Was really, it started with me just developing a game. I didn't really know that it would end up becoming what it has. It's just kind of spiraled out of control in a good way. But I just kind of built a game and I just threw it out there, and then people ended up liking it, and a YouTuber shouted it out, which ended up making this whole thing happen. So, I want to chalk it up to like some good luck,
Sure.
but I think community was a big part of it. Because before I did the game, I was already like I was talking to Sean G like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, just like about how I wanted to just talk with people about like old shit that I love. Like I love like the '90s and the '80s a whole lot, the movies and stuff. And Sean was like, "Hey, here's a movie you can watch. It's Short Circuit. It's funny, And I watched the movie, and it was good. And
With Johnny
it was the
Five,
first
yeah.
time. Yeah, yeah. And did you know they made a second one? I bought the second one at Goodwill the other day.
Oh,
I haven't
nice.
watched it yet, but they made a
Okay.
second one. I
I
don't know if
think
it's
I
any
actually
good.
seen that one too. I love
Yeah,
Johnny
yeah.
Five. Short
Yeah,
Circuit.
yeah, it's cool. Dude, it's one of those ones where it's like instant classic. But
Yeah.
I just wanted more people to talk to about that kind of stuff, like on
Hmm.
the day to day. Like I want to talk about Pogs. I want to talk about Super Nintendo. I want to talk about these old movies. And you know, I started actually, I think, with me like live streaming cartoons.
Nice.
So
So would you consider yourself a gamer?
yeah, definitely.
And so like
Yeah.
back in like the day, when you were growing up as a kid, like you were like always involved in like gaming, but like
Yeah.
sports wasn't really a huge thing, or
I
was
played
it?
a lot of sports, actually. I played a
Oh,
whole
that's
lot of
cool.
sports. Yeah, I played like 5 years of basketball, like 9 years of baseball, 2 years of football, including for the school. Like my mom put me in the parks and recreations, like the local sort of thing. And she had wanted. I always wanted to try a new sport, and my mom was always like, you can try a new sport, but you have to stick with it. And that was the deal. I'd have to finish through, but yeah,
Gotcha.
sports was a big part. But I think for all of it, we all probably played video games in the '90s, and
Sure.
it wasn't the same as today. Like you
Right.
would get bored after playing Mortal Kombat for 3 hours, and
Right.
you would go outside and ride your bike or whatever,
Right.
hang out,
Yeah.
hang out with your friends, which is crazy now,
I know, right?
Play basketball in the street and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
don't see it.
yeah,
But
my big one was
y-
like RPGs. Like Chrono Trigger was a huge for me. I loved it so much. The
oh yeah,
story and everything. Yeah.
I'm big about story-driven games too. I really like story-driven games, and I
Hmm.
like to create story-driven games. So that's a big one for me too, especially like that Super Nintendo era.
Hmm.
It's really beautiful. I mean, it's timeless. I feel like it is.
It's
But yeah,
funny.
it was a core part,
Okay. It
of
was
my
funny
life.
because with the what was it? You mentioned Sean. You mentioned was it Chrono Trigger?
Hmm.
I liked. Actually, it was funny. Is like I found Final Fantasy VII, and I
Yep.
actually only got it because it was the most expensive game at Walmart, and it was like
Very
a
hyped.
it was very hyped. It was like a two disc, so the case was bigger. And my dad at the time was like, "Yeah, you can get it. It's for the PlayStation, I think one, and
Yeah,
you could go ahead and get it." And I was like, "That one," and I
that's the
hated it.
one.
I didn't like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I even had the
It's very
book and
strange.
everything.
It's
Yes.
like playing. It's definitely like playing a story for sure.
So
Yeah,
like we'd go up and they would stop, and then it's like, "Do you want to battle these guys?" And I'm like, "Well, fuck yeah, I want to battle these guys." And it would just
yeah.
be like you'd have to wait, and then it's just like, "All right,
Turn
your
based,
turn."
yeah.
Yeah, your
What's
turn.
funny about that is like, a lot of math is involved with those games, and like certain people, I can see how that's not very fun. It's like you want
Sure.
action, but at the same time, like I liked math, so it was a very
And Pokemon was like
strategic.
that too,
Yeah, yeah. Pokemon was like probably the introduction for me to that kind of thing
like
for
math
sure.
games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's simple math, but definitely math. Final Fantasy VII's a little more intricate, yeah, but yeah, I could see how it's a turn off,
So,
definitely.
so backing up for your company now, which is the
Mhm.
Retro Room, um, and so like how long have you been kind of working on that now?
I think maybe 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years?
It wasn't a business at first. It was just kind of like I said, a thing to just kind of do, like to where I can meet
Hmm.
these like-minded people, and
Just
I,
like a
I knew I
hangout.
wanted to. Well, I wanted to like monetize it somehow. I just didn't know how.
Hmm.
I thought maybe I could be a YouTuber or something like
Sure.
that. I don't know, but that didn't. I never did that. But
Right.
but yeah, it just kind of accidentally fell into place after that. I think maybe because there was like a lot of dedication to the scene. Like
Hmm.
I was very involved with. I wanted to be very involved with this kind of scene because I love it. It's what I was intentionally trying to do. So I
Hmm.
think that really helped. I built this community, and I don't know. Twitter is a really cool place for that too. Twitter's
Yeah.
usually a butthole. Like Twitter sucks. Like it really does. But for the retro gaming community, it's really cool. Like it's the best social media platform for it,
And
in
you
my opinion.
you mentioned Twitter being like the butthole because there's like there's
It's
like
just
some
like a lot of screaming on there, dude. Just a lot of
yeah,
angry people.
I see
It's
that,
like
yeah.
a very political place, and it's a place where
Hmm.
people just spew their thoughts. So you see a lot of just garbage, and you see a lot of like angry, upset people. But in this small little corner, there's like a good like couple thousand people who are just into retro gaming, and
That's cool.
everybody is kind of really dedicated to the community. So it's really nice.
And so like when you first started, you just like went in, like you said, not you had a plan to monetize it, but that wasn't the initial plan. It was just like, I just want to hang out with some cool people and talk about, Johnny Five and like video games, right?
Yeah, I had a Super Nintendo and I wanted to talk about it. That was really the key to it. Like, I think a lot of people like maybe try to start communities and they like fail because they're just trying to start it to monetize or to
Right.
like, but I was like so far off from trying to think about monetization. I was still working in the music industry and I was just not really like worried about making money whenever I first started doing this. I didn't even know how to make money.
Right.
There was no way. I just didn't do it. I don't have anything to sell or,
Sure.
all I have is my voice and talking about these things.
But even stepping back from that, like you were in multiple bands and you even had like a pretty good following at one time on Facebook, kind of
Yeah.
when Facebook was still kind of new. Why is it that you've always gravitated towards like building these communities and you didn't even know what it was? You just it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to build a community. You just kind of went in there and just started doing the thing. Like why
Yeah.
was that?
Well, I think as like I was an artist, so like as a musician, I was an artist, and I think I always liked that concept of like working in your basement really hard on something and then like presenting it to the world. And
Oh, cool.
you needed eyeballs in order to do that. You needed people to present it to. And another aspect of it was I was really into the attention. That's why I was in the music industry in the first place. I feel was like the attention was like energy to me.
Cool.
So that was definitely like a big driving force for it. Now I'm a little older and it's different, like
Right.
I get attention, but it's like my fellow nerds,
Right,
so
yeah.
like, it's not the same, but it's better. I like it better.
Okay. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it starts to kind of add up. Like, it really wasn't about like, building this like monetization kind of, group. It was just like, hey, like I'm in a band, like hear my music. But then it was funny how you were saying it's like you want to like tuck back into the basement and like build something really cool and then be able to present it
And then
to
show
somebody.
it. Yeah.
that's cool.
Me and you got into doing like film and stuff, and I really liked to do that with you. That was a lot of fun. Like we were doing these documentaries and we were
Yep.
like getting into shows for free because we were like shooting videos for the bands and stuff. And,
Yeah.
And that was really cool, and
That was
and
awesome.
I liked the film. I loved the film and I loved the music. And then
Yeah.
I found this beautiful thing that puts almost film and music together, and it's video games. It's like
Oh, wow. Yeah.
you're working on all these things at once. It's a production of its own. That's all these things that I loved put into one thing.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I love it. That was really fun being able to, that was my
Dude.
way of getting you out of the house. It was like,
Yeah.
if I can make like add something to this, it's like, you want to go do something. You're like, nah, I'm good. But I was like, hey, you want to go make this film so then we
I
can
had to
put
make
it
it
on.
productive.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
It needed
great.
to be like it needed to be productivity to my life, or I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, hey, let's go on a Texas taco tour or whatever. You know what I mean? That was one of our ideas when we were doing
we
Ruji.
should be freaking famous for that shit, dude. That was
You know,
that was good.
for context, we pinpointed a few areas in Texas, and we had like each location we knew somebody so we could stay there, and so it was like Houston, San Antonio, Austin. I don't think we actually went to we went to Denton and met Adrian, which is like
Right.
north. It was like out, right outside of Dallas, and then we came all the way down. I think it was like we went up and came down, but then we actually went down to visit
Corpus.
your dad, Corpus,
Yeah.
and so it was really cool. It was all the way up, all the way down. It was really fun, and
Tacos every day.
tacos every day, dude. And so the verdict, I think the best tacos, in my opinion, there was one little gas station out in Denton that was really good, and
They were
then
good, yeah. The bomb
and then-
tacos too.
Yes,
I
and
think
then
that was in Austin.
Austin,
maybe.
Texas had, I think, the bomb tacos that were really good too. And Sean, you're probably familiar with what is that honky tonk right there? Out in Austin, there's a honky tonk there. It's like White Horse. White Horse, yes. So there's like if you walk outside, there's like a little.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that. Yeah.
There's like a
They
little.
had good tacos, yeah.
They had good tacos. There's a little little taco stand out, like in their backyard kind of thing of the honky tonk. So
Okay.
it was
Cool.
cool. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that was good. That was
And
really
then,
good.
and then when we went to Corpus, his dad flew us around in the plane, so that was really fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was
So
my whole childhood. My dad, pilot.
you're like,
He's a
been
pilot.
here,
So.
done that.
Yeah. I hate flying, dude. It scares me every time, and I'm just like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's funny.
it's cool to see you have fun, dude.
Oh wow.
Right? That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
I've
go
always
ahead,
wanted to
Joel.
fly a plane. I just think that's some people hate it and some people just love it. And I can't tell you why I love it, but it's thrilling for me. And I'm not an
Same.
adrenaline person, but something about like taking off and landing is like so thrilling to me.
Yeah,
We'll have to go to Corpus because my dad will let you fly
yeah,
for sure.
I would love that. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like Sean's the helicopter dude. He actually, I feel like I'm starting not to convert, but like to come around. I used to be like hard no to helicopters.
Yep.
But now I'm like, okay, I can
Yep.
see. I had to look up the stats because I'm like, everyone dies in a helicopter. I was way too extremist about it, but I'm like, actually, no, the stats say that you're more likely to die in a plane crash. So,
Yeah, right.
so funny.
And you're probably more likely to die by getting kicked in the head by a horse than a plane crash or something like that. You know, like.
That's so
Yeah,
funny. Yeah, my thing was like, I always liked the helicopter because it was like, it's like really practical in a sense where you can pretty much land almost anywhere, right? You know, and you
Yeah.
can just take off. You could put and that's what I used to do when I was a kid. I used to have like a little toy helicopter, and I would just make helicopter noises, and I would just like land it here, and I'd pretend I'd walk out of the helicopter, and I'd come over here on top of the building, walk out. But then when Sean was talking about the like fixed wing, like an airplane, it just I think it made a little more sense in terms like being practical and like. I think you can actually buy a plane that's more like a lot more affordable.
they're affordable. Yeah. Oh
They're
yeah.
like a small car, like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. You can buy
Oh,
your
yeah.
own plane. And then the fact that
Absolutely.
your pops has done it for so long. If Sean, if you're ever in the market to buy a plane, we can consult John's dad, Roger. Roger.
He'll also take you out to get your hours or whatever to fly. My dad likes to.
that'd be
He
so
likes
cool.
to. He wants to stay sharp. You know, he has to practice. You know, and
Absolutely.
that way he. But he takes people out for their hours so that he can stay sharp too. So
Yeah.
Okay.
he's
good.
he's usually willing
Let
to do
me
that.
write that down. I'm gonna do that
Yeah.
in 2023.
He'll do that for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Like it's
That's
just one
awesome.
of those things that he's always done. If somebody's interested in flying, then
When I think
unfortunately I'm not.
about no, you're like, nope, not gonna do it.
Yeah. Sorry, Dad.
It's funny when I like think about the end of my life. I think about like a few random things of like if I'm not like gardening, like the typical rural dude on a farm, I want to be like either flying a plane, like sunrise or sunset would be cool, or like being the dude that collects the golf balls on a driving range, like driving
Oh,
that
that's
little thing. These
hilarious.
random things just sound really interesting for the end of my life.
Yes, it reminds me
Dude.
of Forrest Gump, where he was just like mowing because he just wanted to. He didn't need any
Yeah, it's
money.
like, what's that really simple thing that you just want to do when you're old? You know?
Yeah.
I feel like you could do that now for sure. The golf
Oh,
ball
yeah.
is hell yeah.
And it's funny because I play golf like maybe recreationally once a year. Like I'm not like a big golfer, but it just sounds fun.
I've never been golfing, so I have no idea. Like I just kind of envision like getting hammered like on a golf course. That's
Just like drinking a bunch of beers. And just,
yeah, just fucking around, like
yeah.
slamming into each other in the golf carts and shit.
That's pretty much how it goes. And then I'll bring like last time I went, this was years ago. I just brought like a Bluetooth speaker, and I like mounted it to the golf cart, and it was just like
crank it
driving
up.
around. There was nobody there, so we weren't really bothering anybody, so that was good. And then like apparently there's this thing called mulligan, and you can only really say mulligan once, but I was like, I don't know, I was like, mulligan, and you get like a new try, and you mess up, like, let me do it again. So,
Oh, it's like the do-over.
yeah, it's like,
I've never even
restart.
heard of that.
Yeah.
I think of that band Hot Mulligan. But
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing, a golf thing. Yeah.
You know what? Like, now that, like, I don't know, I'm kind of second guessing it. Maybe it was
I
just
thought it was
that
something
you
Irish. I don't know.
did, right?
No,
I
it's
think,
a golf thing.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. I just making sure. Okay, good.
It's like a bogey. Is that
Yeah, that's
a
part of
golf
the
word?
Yeah, that's like a golf word for sure.
Yeah, when you go
Par,
over par.
bogey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Golden Tee game. That one's really fun. Like I'll play that at like some bars. It's just like the little
Oh yeah,
ball.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that one's a cool, and that's really kind of kept me sharp in terms of like golf terminology. But to actually go out and play it, and I'd probably hit the ball the wrong way or something. Like,
Yeah,
It's fun
dude,
to
it would
play
have
like
to
a
be
par three. Like you don't have to drive at
Mhm.
all. Everything's like
just walking around.
200 yards or less. Yeah, you can just walk it, and those are really fun
Mhm.
to do.
They got that
Um,
one in Humble, kind of close
yeah, that's
to
where I
John
started
Smith.
playing them. Yeah,
closest thing I ever got to that was some putt putt, man.
putt putt's cool too. That's a fun like just recreational thing to do.
Yeah.
Um,
I know disc golf is popular too.
oh, that's
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of fun. Yeah.
I've never done it. I've never done it.
Me
I heard
either,
it's really
yeah.
good.
Oh, I'm surprised. Yeah,
I know,
I'll go
right?
play.
No,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. There's this pickleball coming out. Like we work with a
I know you were
brand.
telling me about that.
Yes, dude,
Pickleball.
it's pickleball. It's like a mixture between tennis and like ping pong, maybe. I would say maybe it's like a smaller version of tennis. But yeah,
But
and
bigger
it's
than ping pong.
but bigger than ping pong, right? So
Interesting.
it's called
That's
pickleball.
cool.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know why, but yeah. And so we're working with a brand that's just now starting. They actually, I think, just launched their website live like maybe a few days ago, and so we've been
Oh,
doing
cool.
like their email stuff and getting their flows and like just getting all the technical stuff kind of built out for them. So then come January, mid-January, they're going to put some ads on it, and so everything should be good to go in terms of like sending all the traffic to their website, and then we can start capturing some emails for them and start
Right.
putting them into these different nurture flows and all that good stuff. So but I think just talking about that too, it's like Doug, the owner, he's like super cool dude. He started off doing this other brand called Hoorag, which is like outdoor like gaiters and like masks and stuff. And so they really kind of took off during like COVID. But like it's just crazy. Like I would love to kind of hear his story too in terms of like what we're talking
Should
about.
ask him. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Like with the
Get him
whole
on.
community thing. But it's just it's interesting because now he's in like the pickleball stuff, and pickleball already has kind of like a built-in community because it's already a thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting. I think with anything, like it's nice to have like a group of like diehard people to not only like sell stuff to, but then you could talk to these people and you can kind of like get feedback, you know what I mean? Like, even as like you're developing games, and so it's like you
Yeah.
have like these tests, you know what I mean? Like obviously
Sure.
you'll have like your people that test it, but then
Yeah.
with anything, I think even with software, you kind of push it out to like a beta test and then you get people to check it out, and that's how you learn and figure things out, you know what I mean?
Oh, I
Is
learned
through-
the hard way on that one. That's for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I my first game that I developed before I had published it physically, I was giving it away for free. I was just like, here, to the public, and there was this live streamer who was like pretty popular, and he had like a nice following watching, and he just destroyed my game, just broke it,
Ooh.
and I didn't know the dude was gonna get on fucking live stream and bump into walls and shit, but
Oh,
dude,
shit.
he was trying to break it. It was like,
Oh, man.
whoa. But I learned a valuable lesson,
Wanna test your game.
Yeah, get some people to test it before somebody live streams it, because it's and now I like pay testers for sure, but it was a brutal lesson for sure.
And so that's what you're doing now is like developing games.
I do less development. I do development whenever I can, but that's more of like for fun.
Yeah.
But I am just publishing games. I'm like licensing games and publishing games. Licensing from indie developers and from companies that were, popular in the 80s and 90s, and re-releasing their games a lot of times onto consoles that they weren't initially released on. So the first licensing deal I got was for a game called Chips Challenge. And I grew up playing Chips Challenge on my Windows PC. Like, it just came bundled with some game pack, and I can remember playing it growing up. So it was a really cool one to be able to land a licensing deal on that. But I was working with another developer who was working on multiple different versions of it just for fun on these different platforms that had never been released on the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and the Game Boy. And he was just doing it for fun. And I was like, hey, you know, I can make you some money if you let me license it from you, and I get an official license from the company, because he was doing it like illegally, you know. But the company don't care, you know.
Right.
They care if you're going to make a whole bunch of money, I think. But yeah, like, he was just doing it for fun, like as a independent developer. But I kind of tied them together. I kind of brought those two parties together, and
That's
then
cool.
I published what was created out of it. And that's sort of the start of that side of the business. Then I started getting into like games that never got released, like that got canceled back in the 90s or early 2000s. And
I bet that's really cool.
dude, it's dope. That's my favorite part of the business. And now that's really like, people are starting to like tag me in things on Twitter where it's like this game that was never released was canceled or whatever. They'll tag me in it and they'll be like, hey,
cool.
Can you look into releasing this? And I got some like, cool announcements coming up. So.
That's where you want to be at. That's the spot right there. So
Yeah.
when you are like, because of like what you've built off, it's like this foundation of this community, people are starting to tag you on these things. Man,
it'll be a canceled game. It's cool.
Oh wow, I bet that's really cool for you. Like, you're just like chilling one day and someone's like, hey, here, like, we should totally get this game, and you're like, fuck yeah, like they're sending it to me because like I'm the guy.
Yeah, and I reach out every time somebody tags me. I reach out to try to find out who owns that intellectual property. I'm like, you know, where is it now? Who owns it? Is there any way I can get my hands on it? If it's unfinished, can I find a developer to finish it? And it's kind of what I've been doing. And I got maybe 5 unreleased games now, like the intellectual property rights to release them. So
oh, cool. So you have like
I released
5 in the bank right now.
I released let me think. I think two of them that were unreleased games. I have to look at the list. I have 7 games out right now. I'm pretty sure, and I have 7 games to release, and some of them are indie games, and the others are unreleased. Into like things that were never properly published. You know, it's kind of cool because like I did one that was supposed to be a Dune game, and it got canceled in the early 2000s for the Game Boy Advanced, and we got the like source code to the game and changed everything that was Dune related, pulled out all the copywritten material, and then released it as a new like franchise, you know. And the original developers came and they found me because they saw that we were doing a Kickstarter for it, and they thanked me for doing it because their game would have never gotten to see the light of day. Yeah, it was like they worked super hard behind the scenes, like in the basement, you know, on this game. As a company, as a collective, there was like 5 or 6 of them that were working on this game, and then it just gets shit canned by this company because of corporate reasons or whatever, bureaucracy or whatever you want to call it, you know. But it might not have ever seen the light of day had I not tried to reach out and publish it the way that we did.
That's really cool.
I find that to be pretty neat. I like that concept.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So when I guess like what's the process like when you are like kind of doing your day-to-day kind of job? What does that look like now that you're not really doing the development? Like, what is, like, I guess it's just like relationships. Like, you're trying to connect, you're trying to find out what game is like canceled, like find out who's the owner, and then like you're just kind of like the middleman you're like the conduit
put the
of
pieces together. Yeah, put 2 people together. Exactly. Yeah, a lot of times that's the way that it is. Well, sometimes, you know, I work with a lot of indie developers too, like just like some person who's just like me who might not necessarily want to have to deal with the headache of publishing, or they don't know how, you know. So they might have made like a really cool game, and I'll approach them and try to publish their game for them, and we'll make a deal, you know. And
cool.
So yeah, it's not always like me trying to connect people with people. It's me trying to connect people like with their product to a audience or
an audience.
Like a lot of times like you know, like this guy Matt, he made a really cool game called Big to Small, and he told me he only got like 40 downloads on this game that he worked, and he wrote it. He didn't use like a game engine. He wrote it with just code. It was like this really intricate project, and he just didn't have any eyeballs on it. And at the time I had, like my following on Twitter and my TikTok or whatever growing. And so I asked him if I could publish it, and he was like, yeah. I mean, he wasn't really even interested in talking about money, which I obviously was like, hey, we're going to make some money,
Right.
But
Yeah.
he didn't care. He was just like, I just want people to play. He's like, I only got 40 people to play my game. I just want people to play the game,
Yeah, sure.
So the idea was to just popularize it for him and publish it. The way that I do that is to publish it physically and to scream it from the mountaintops to my audience, So,
Dang.
that's another aspect, I guess.
Yeah. And then do you remember the results from it? I guess he was happy.
Still
Afterwards.
going. Yeah,
It's
we're
still
still
going.
selling. Yeah, we're still selling the game all the time. It's a really good game. It's
Cool.
I feel like it's like one of my more underrated games because it looks all cutesy putesy. It's like a little cute elephant and a little mouse and a little goat, and it's like most people want like freaking guns and action, and like
Right.
but it's just like this little cutesy putesy game. But it's actually really fun. Once you get your hands on it, it's like really cool. So. Yeah, it's one of my more underrated games, I feel.
And then like and you kind of stick with like all the like retro platforms. Nothing
Yeah.
in the cards of like the newer ones. Like I guess it kind of would be like off brand, but like
I would do it. I mean, retro style games could even be, it
on like
doesn't have to
newer
be.
platforms, right?
Yeah. It doesn't even necessarily have to be, and what is retro? What's it's
Nostalgia?
just subjective. It's subjective, I
Right.
think, to the person. Because if I ask my little cousin, who's 15, what retro is, he's gonna be like, the GameCube. It's just like a retro.
Right.
I'm like,
Oh.
like, he's like the first Xbox is retro. I'm like, whoa, I'm old. PS2,
Right.
So yeah, but if you
That's a
ask
good
us,
point.
it's a different answer, So
That's a really
it's
good point.
subjective.
Yeah.
It's subjective. A lot of like low poly stuff, like the PS1 graphics it's like the bulky graphics. You could make a game like that and release it for the Nintendo Switch, and it's like
wow.
retro inspired, but
Right.
it's not necessarily retro.
Dang. Okay. And is this what you do for fun?
What?
Like this, like your business, like is like you.
Oh.
I guess you enjoy it enough. To
I
just,
do it for a living, but yeah,
Right.
I love what I do. Sometimes it's stressed out. I get stressed out. Yesterday I was like really stressed out, and because I was working all day. I'm packaging the orders. I should probably outsource it, but
Mhm.
I'm packaging all these orders, and then I hopped on Twitter and I saw somebody saying that my game sucked, and I was like, dude, and I was all tired. Like I was just like, I'm like, dude, fuck this. And I closed my phone and I was just like, okay, well, I'm done for the night. Yeah. I mean, it happens. It's something
sure.
that you can't avoid that,
Right. You're
But it was
gonna
just
get, like,
such a
negative.
bummer because I was so freaking tired.
You had just worked like so many hours, like,
Dude.
to pack all these things, and then it's just like your game sucks. It's like, no,
Yeah,
you,
dude. I was like, yeah, you suck, dude.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I'm
hard not to
crying, you're
comment.
crying.
Yeah, it's hard not to comment and be emotional about it and be like, thanks. But I just leave it alone, It happens.
It sucks. Where's your game
man.
at?
You suck. Like, it's hard not to be emotional, but especially whenever
man.
you're tired like that, That's why I was so bummed. I was like driving to dinner. I was like, that guy's a fucking asshole. Like, I was like butthurt about it. Becca's like, you don't usually get butthurt,
like, I'm
about
tired.
haters. Yeah, I was just so tired, dude. I was so exhausted. But yeah, it
That's
happens.
funny. And I guess like that's just part of like putting yourself out there. So it's like big risk.
Oh,
big,
yeah.
Big reward kind of thing.
It
So-
happens whenever you're in any sort of arts. Whenever I was a musician, there was a guy who I remember I was on stage. He threw his beer at me.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah.
So, wham.
And he was like, "You suck," and threw his beer at me, and he left. And I was in the middle of performing, like my
Oh,
hard
man.
work, like
Yeah.
it was like, whew,
Yeah, I
It
mean,
should happen.
words can hurt, but so can like a physical beer.
So
be
can a
right?
beer, yeah. Right?
Right?
I think it was just more embarrassing than anything. And embarrassing things happen whenever you're a performer too. One time, like, dude, I was a singer, and I went and put my leg on the speaker, and my pants ripped right at the crotch.
Oh.
And dude, and I wasn't wearing any underwear, dude.
You get an extra free show. Big
Right.
show.
Dude, It was a life-changing moment for sure.
Oh man, that's
For
funny.
sure. Yeah, it was embarrassing, dude. It was like,
Oh man.
whew. But
Oh man, that's so good. That's so good.
sometimes some less than cool things would happen to you as an artist or a performer. I think that's really in any business or any kind of setting where you're going to put yourself out to the public. You're gonna,
Yeah.
I mean, there's an asshole in
It's
every
just-
community.
Yeah, that's funny
Absolutely.
you say that. My uncle told me that one time. It's like you can't
Yeah.
like quit just because there's an asshole. There's like assholes everywhere. So I always like that. Always
They're
stuck.
always going to come after you, no matter what. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to put yourself out to the public, like, and that's what I do. That's the only way that I'm able to get business is thousands of people have to see my stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So not everybody's going to like it, and not everybody's going to appreciate it. So
What would you say
Right.
if someone wanted to? So they are passionate about something. They wanted to start a community and
Mhm.
be able to be in this room, but they're afraid of like that negativity. You know, like how do you
Dude,
navigate that?
I hate to be like cliche about it, but it's just like get yourself some tough skin, you know.
Right.
Like,
It's like part
I
of
don't
it,
really
though.
know. It hurts my feelings too. Who doesn't get their feelings hurt whenever somebody says this thing that you worked on for a year sucks? You know,
Right.
it's you just kind of have to like deal with it. But at the same time, like a lot of people are gonna like it too. But it's always there's a saying that I have for it. It's that a kick to the nuts feels worse than a pat on the back feels good. So, you know, it's like, dude, you can get kicked in the nuts one time, it hurts so bad. You can get 1,000 pats on the back, and you're like, cool, you know, like.
Right.
You know, but
Right.
that one kick to the nuts is so memorable, dude. You're like,
Right.
woo, you know. So that's the way that I try to compare it. It's like, dude, that's what it feels like. It's a bunch of attaboys. It's like, cool, that feels really good, you know. But getting kicked to the nuts really is the more memorable thing, you know.
Yeah, and I see like people, you know, like Elon, you know, I'm sure he gets quite a bit of hate, you know, being, you know.
Are you on
like-
Twitter, dude?
Have you seen
Right.
Twitter? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, have you even
Yeah.
seen Twitter? Like, but even some music artists, like just really anybody.
all
like
all
of
musical
them.
musical artists.
They
There's
always
not a
get
single
hate,
one. Yeah,
you know?
dude. I
I
remember.
feel like-
I always talk about that, dude. Justin Bieber's worth like
Yeah.
$250 million, and we all hated him because he was getting all the bitches. You know what I'm saying?
I'd
When
only
we were growing
growing
up-
2 or whatever. he
Yeah,
said.
yeah. We were like, this fucking guy he's stealing all the girls. Save some
you
for
didn't like
us.
short guys.
Yeah, save some for the rest of us. But yeah, but you know, he's worth so much money, and he's like extremely successful. People screaming at his shows, wanting to be him. We were all just jealous, you know. So it's just an inevitable
like they
thing.
were
Even the most
Built off their
talented,
hate.
yeah. And
You know?
even the most talented people are going to get that. If you look at the Beatles or, you know, Elvis Presley or some of these like
Oh, yeah.
extremely well-known artists, like even some like writers and stuff. I think I read like Edgar Allan Poe, like nobody even liked his art until he died.
Yeah, a lot of
So-
artists are like that. Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting. And it's like, I feel like there's like a mixture of building a community. It's like, be a contrarian, you know, you don't want to just like go with like what everybody else is saying. So kind of stand
Yeah.
out, go against the grain.
Right.
You know, don't be afraid to get negativity because it's just going to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and then a
And
lot
if
of
you
times,
but if you show a bully that your butt hurt, they're gonna bully you more too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
All right, don't feed into it. Yeah.
don't feed
Yeah.
into it. Yeah.
That's
But
how I
then
feel
also-
Twitter is. People just want to battle on Twitter, and if you
They-
just leave it
they love
alone,
it.
then
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
these have their little anime profile picture. They just want
Oh
to
my
talk shit
gosh.
to get a reaction out of you.
With
you know?
their 3 followers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you just to tell somebody like that's not going to happen is a lie.
Yeah.
People, it's not going to happen if you don't have any sort of audience or popularity to your products. Like, yeah, but if you're serving, all these ads out to the world, like. I mean, dude, that's where I get the most of my hate is whenever I run ads. These strangers see it. It's just like
Strangers say, oh.
most of the hate comes from that, So it's
Right.
just gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's hard to say like shrug it off. I remember like my fiance,
Damn.
she was on Twitter and she was selling art and it was rough on her to get to have to traverse through the negativity, and every single blow. Was a hard blow for her. It was like every single punch hurt, and it was just hard for her to traverse
Yeah.
that sort of like, what do you call it? Like, to be like a influencer, I guess.
Oh, okay,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's just not really for everybody because
Sure.
of that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to like talk about in terms of community, like did you start on like Facebook or another platform, or has Twitter kind of always been your bread and butter?
I started on Facebook, definitely.
Okay.
And I started as just me. There was nothing really there. I had my bands, but I don't think my bands were like were the community. I think it was me that was the community. And whenever I was doing that, there was also again no goal in mind really. I guess then to listen to my music was a goal, but the everyday goal was to just make some sort of like a post or a video or something that's going to cause reaction. You know, whether that's whether it was to make people laugh, or a lot of times like I tried to make like, dude, I would on Facebook I would intentionally like set out matches and gasoline and just let the comment section start the fire. You know what I'm saying? I was just like I would just set out these two things where I knew that it was going to just create this controversy, and it was just fun to me to just sit back and be like, all right, now you guys fight. You know, like, so,
It reminds me of the one that you did with the dinosaur.
oh
remember
yeah, yeah.
you remember
I
that
love
one?
doing that kind of stuff still. I do it on TikTok, dude, sometimes. Like
Put
where
some
I'll just
context to that, man. You got to tell us about that one.
Yeah, like that was like my first viral post, I think. Where it was like a dinosaur, a T-Rex that was like strapped down, and obviously like dinosaurs aren't real, but I put the caption to be real passionate, like we can't allow this to happen. You know, this is a living creature, and like, you know, like this is animal abuse, and obviously like people are like, you're a fucking idiot, dude, you know. But it and like the people who were in on it and they knew that I was just like being stupid were like, you're an idiot, it's an animal, you know, and like it just like. It was like a running joke for a long time. But yeah, I still do shit like that on TikTok sometimes. I try to stay away from it because some people get really passionate, but I always love to do that. Just like set the matches and the gasoline out and let everybody fight.
Got it. Okay.
But I started on Facebook, and then I migrated to Twitter. And now obviously TikTok is the place to be, you know, and I've been kind of just trying to build an audience there, it's actually easier than any other platform that I've ever built for. I think maybe because me and Sean we were doing video content for a long time, and so I'm comfortable with video content, but dude, they just fucking blast you on TikTok. It's just like anything can go viral on there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it too. We just had our first short on YouTube, and like I think I checked
Dude.
it. It was like 260. I mean, that's a lot for us. Like we just started.
Dude,
this.
YouTube Shorts will do the same thing. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take my TikToks and I'll post them onto YouTube Shorts, and they get a lot of attention the same way. Yeah, they serve it to a lot of people. You know, there's like an algorithm. You know, if they watch enough of it and they like it or whatever, they'll give it to 100 more people or whatever. Yeah, YouTube Shorts is the same. Like it's definitely powerful.
Okay. And I wanted to talk about like other platforms. Like I know there's like Discord, which is the I Am Champion guys have built like a really solid community on there. But in particular, like gaming, like the other platform that comes up is like Twitch. Is that something valuable to gamers to create community?
Probably. I just sucked at it, dude. Like, I'll get on stream and I'll be talking to myself, dude. Like, ain't nobody come into my streams. And I get nervous whenever there's nobody in there because, like, I don't know, I just feel dumb. So I'm just, like, sitting there jibber-jabbering to myself. One person will come in and be like,
Okay, so it's like streaming plus talking to your people while you're streaming. It's
You know, I think Twitter and Twitch or like some sort of social media platform and Twitch go hand in hand because you want to send people to your live stream. I don't, you know, I think like the beautiful part about Twitter that's above Facebook or Instagram is that like it's really easy to see strangers' posts with the retweet, you know, but you don't really see it as much on Facebook. You know, that's more of like your family or whatever. And then, you know, in Instagram, there's really not much. They have the stories, but it's it's just not as much as Twitter. I think that's why Twitter is the way that it is.
Yeah, when I
you
heard
can see
someone say that, what you were about to say, like you can see someone's stuff without having to follow them. When I heard someone
Yeah.
say that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I didn't realize that is what
Yeah.
makes Twitter so much better and different than like
Right.
Instagram or Facebook. And we're like, Instagram, someone will come and follow you just for you to follow them back, and then they'll unfollow
Yeah,
you.
and
It's like
then
this whole
yeah,
tactic. And it's just like,
yeah,
so there, you don't feel that reciprocity on Twitter to like, oh, you followed me, I need to follow you back. You're just like, you almost don't even realize it sometimes when people start following you because it's not a big deal,
Yeah.
until you
Yeah.
get to like, yeah.
it's. I think TikTok is the same way.
Okay.
You get served all this content of people you don't follow at all. And
Yeah.
it gives you the opportunity to like ingest new content and new people, and you might come across something you really like, and you can follow them. And there's two different tabs. There's the For You tab, which they curate for you. It's like
Stuff you're interested in.
you watch these kinds of videos, so we're going to serve you these kinds of videos,
Got it.
of different people that you've never seen. And then there's your Friends tab, are the people that you follow. So,
Got it.
so
I feel like that's
I
how like
that.
Instagram search was in the early days. It still kind of is that way. If you
Yeah.
go to Instagram, you hit search, like you're going to search somebody's profile, it automatically pulls up a huge feed. And like, I feel like
Right.
if you wanted to see someone's, I don't want to say like shadow side, but what they're looking at when no one else is paying attention to them, like that's a one good way to do it. Cause like I was like, I didn't realize
dude.
I cared so much about working out because I barely work out, but like it serves me so much nutrition and exercise stuff. I'm just like, okay, I guess I love yoga and working out.
That makes me curious. Like, I'm going to hop on my retro page, Instagram, and see what the search looks like right here.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Let's see. Oh, of course, it's retro stuff.
Pokemon, yeah.
Pokemon,
Yeah, there's-
gaming.
A little bit of Mario Kart, and so you're right. Yeah, it could serve you some, and you can find some cool people probably through that, But I don't know why Twitter's so much easier to. It just happens naturally. You don't have to click like a search tab or anything.
Yeah, I feel like
Right.
there's a learning curve to Twitter, but once you get in there enough, you start to just organically like get it. I don't think it's intuitive necessarily, but you figure
Sure.
it out.
Yeah, no, that's a
Yeah,
good,
I think
that's a
so.
good point.
I think so too. Yeah, I think practice. I think same with any platform really, like and
Yeah.
dedication. Everybody
Yeah.
likes to quit. Everybody wants to quit because they don't see results, And I, for a long time, dude, for like 6 months, I was just screaming into the void on Twitter, like, "Hey, I like Super Nintendo, Nintendo." And nobody came back, and then eventually somebody was like, "Me too." So yeah, it was definitely like a lonely place for a long time.
Okay.
Did you ever hear that meme? It reminds me. He's like, "Hey, who are you?" He's like, "Tony." He's like, "Fuck you, Tony."
Yeah, who are you? Yeah, that's funny, dude.
Don't you bring my mom into this.
Yeah, dude, that's funny.
I love that. It's so funny. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, we're probably gonna close it out here soon, but
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Towards the end, like if you, I guess like didn't have the community, I guess it would just be a lot more difficult, right? So if someone that doesn't have a community, like even like building a whatever brand, like I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like you have to have a community. I mean, you could run ads and like do
It makes
that.
yeah. I was
You
gonna
know what I
say
mean?
it makes it a hell of a lot easier. Whenever I release a new game, most of the sales initially in that first day come from the community, and then
Gotcha.
like I'll trickle sales with ads for the next year or whatever,
Cool.
on a game. But yeah,
Yeah.
most of them come from that initial community, and that's free. I don't have to spend any money on that. I just
Yeah,
just say, hey, new game's out.
New games out
So-
there, like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
the whole
like-
networking, like you're used to be like in a room of people and you had to meet every one of them individually, but now you can literally just be like, you put a message up and thousands of people can see it and kind of
Yep.
connect with
Yeah.
you from there. So
And they already
it's
know
really
you.
yeah, and it's
You know?
easy when you're talking about things that you love. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
post about shit that I love all the time. I'm just like, hey, let's talk about Blockbuster today, and
Yeah,
we'll
right.
talk about Blockbuster, and so it's really easy. It doesn't feel like you're like running a community or something. You're just kind of talking to your friends,
Yeah. So that's
Cool.
probably like the key takeaway here is like, one is like, yes, you definitely want to try and build a relation or build like a community and build relationships within the community, but you
Yeah.
want to be able to like be interested in the
And
thing.
it's not forced. Yeah, it's not forced,
right? 'Cause
Yeah,
then-
it's just something that like what you guys are doing here. You're talking about things that you like,
Sure.
or else you would. It's easy to do, You know,
Yeah.
it makes it so simple. It's like you like to talk about building communities, or you like to talk about business, or whatever you talk about with your guests or with each other. You know, so it doesn't feel like work whenever you're just talking about things you love.
For
Yeah.
sure. And then like depending on the platform, like we found this like system here called Riverside, it really removes
Yeah, this is
a
cool.
lot of the friction.
friction.
It does,
Yeah.
man. So as soon as this is done, it'll render it automatically, and then it'll literally just give us the finished product with all the sound, all the visuals we
Yeah, I
need.
remember you're like picking intros and like that
Yeah,
was cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We
Some
just
intro
use like
music.
a basic like Canva and just doing like the thumbnails.
This is
It's
cool.
like
Yeah.
super easy. Yeah, this is super easy. And like maybe down the road we'll look into getting like an editor. But for right now, like this is like super easy for us to
I think
you know.
having you guys having guests on will help bring some attention too, because you'll post this onto Twitter or whatever, and then of course I'm going to retweet it to my audience of people,
Sure.
and those who, you know, want to watch it can watch it, and I think, you know, it's just going to grow if you just stick with it for
Yeah,
sure.
it's fun to have people on, just hear different mindsets. I definitely feel like I learned a few new things about you that I didn't know before. And I have another question, especially since Twitter is
Yeah.
kind of your home base.
Sure.
Like, this could be a thought experiment. You could say, I don't want to involve myself in answering this question, but like,
No,
what do
no.
you see as like the future of Twitter? Maybe we could come back to this in a year and see if this is like a prediction type thing.
Right.
It's become like kind of unstable at this point because Elon Musk and everybody's like big babies about it, but I think it'll stabilize again, and you know, from what I've been seeing is that it's got more user base now than it ever has. So hopefully it's better. But there are alternative platforms. You know, there's Mastodon and there's Hive. So there's these
wow.
new platforms that have come out, and of course, you know, like I try to go anywhere where we can talk about retro content. So I'm on those platforms. You know,
Okay.
and they're popular. They have you know, I have decent little followings on them. So who knows? You know,
Right.
dude, I thought MySpace was gonna last forever, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Oh, MySpace days, man.
I wish
It
it would
feels
come
like
back.
MySpace existed in like 1995. I'm like, oh wait, no, it was just like '05. You know, which
Yeah,
for the kid
yeah.
these days is basically like, oh, I was born in '05, so they have no
And
clue.
it seems to have like died in a day. It was just like
Yeah,
you know, like, so who knows?
And then Facebook. Ah.
Yeah. Facebook took over. Now Facebook's like old people,
yep.
boomers. You
Yep.
know, like,
Seriously. That's
That's
cool,
wild.
man. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any more questions, and I feel like the takeaway from like building a community and just like hearing your story was really cool. I think you know, it'd definitely be cool to get you to come back multiple times. I know,
yeah,
you know, it's just like a
Sure.
cool thing
Definitely.
to hang out and just talk about what.
Yeah,
and next time it doesn't
absolutely.
even have to be like a particular
talk about
thing.
manufacturing, dude.
Manufacturing. It just be a
Manufacturing the
hangout.
product.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever. So, but yeah,
Talk about 80s movies.
dude, yeah,
Okay,
80s
cool.
movies, like that's super sick. Yeah. I don't know, Sean, if you had any more questions, but
Yeah.
yeah, we're pretty much good, huh?
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on again. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Definitely.
worries, no worries. I'm
I was
glad that
excited.
you're
I
here.
was like waiting for Sean to ask me.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I told Sean. I was like, he's been
Yeah.
waiting. He's been waiting.
Yeah,
We're just trying to
eagerly,
get we're just trying to get the resources up, kind of get the momentum going. We kind of scheduled our first one, which was yesterday. We actually like physically scheduled it ahead of time.
Cool.
So what we do is we take this and we'll just break it up into cool pieces and we'll turn it into shorts.
Cool.
We'll turn it into actual shorts.
Dude,
Just
make a
like-
TikTok page. Do that too. Take those
Exactly.
shorts and throw them on TikTok.
Cool.
If you're already doing the work, you might as well.
Yeah, might as well. Because Riverside actually does it for us. It just turns it
There you
into
go.
in short mode.
Throw it
So-
up on the TikTok real quick, and
Cool.
I'll give you a follow.
Sick. We got a first follower on Ticker Topic.
Yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It'll happen fast for you.
That's awesome,
sure.
man.
Cool.
Cool. Well, I'm going to end the recording. Don't go anywhere. But yeah, I appreciate everybody on
Yeah,
here.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks,
it was
guys.
awesome. Cool. All right, we're out. Later.